ओके. सो नमस्कार, सगळ्यांना नमस्कार. आज जे सगळे जॉईन झालेत कम्युनिटी कट्टा सेशन नंबर 3. आज आहेत आपल्या बरोबर स्वप्नाली केळकर. स्वप्नाली केळकर इज अ इमिग्रेशन लॉयर. तिला आता काहीच, आय थिंक स्वप्नाली 2 वर्षापूर्वीच तुला यू पास द बार एक्झाम, राईट,
Yes.
इन द US. ओके. सो स्वप्नालीनी आता 2 वर्षापूर्वीच बार एक्झामची परीक्षा पण कॅलिफोर्निया स्टेट मधून
On
दिली
which
आहे.
someone wears a
ती आता
boutonniere.
त्याच्याबद्दल पण सांगेल, बार एक्झाम म्हणजे काय असतं आणि तिला काय काय करायला लागलं.
Used to describe the concentration of small amounts of something in a solution. Ron, what
काय?
is काहीतरी बॅकग्राऊंड मध्ये आवाज येतो.
दॅट्स ओके, दॅट्स ओके. सो ओके, ऑलराईट. 2 मिनिटं, 2 मिनिटं. ऑलराईट. सो स्वप्नाली बद्दल सांगायचं म्हणजे स्वप्नाली आमच्या बोर्ड ऑफ डिरेक्टर मंदार केळकर त्यांच्या मिसेस आहेत. आणि मलाही स्वप्नाली बद्दल इतकं काही माहित नव्हतं मागच्या वर्षीपर्यंत. आणि मागच्या वर्षी जेव्हा आम्ही इंटरनॅशनल वुमेन्स डे सेलिब्रेशन साठी स्वप्नालीला म्हटलं होतं प्राइज डिस्ट्रीब्युशन साठी यायला, तेव्हा मला स्वप्नाली बद्दल जरा अजून कळलं. तर मी आता जास्त सगळ्यांचा वेळ घेत नाही, स्वप्नालीला सांगते की ती स्वतःच इंट्रोडक्शन सगळ्यांना करून द्यायला मी सांगते. थँक्यू स्वप्नाली.
अरे बापरे. ओके, थँक्यू अनघा.
2 मिनिटं थांबा. आय एम जस्ट गोइंग टू पिन युअर पिक्चर अप हिअर. ओके, या, गो अहेड.
ओके. हॅलो एव्हरीवन, गुड इव्हनिंग सगळ्यांना. आणि अनघा, थँक्यू सो मच इंट्रोडक्शन दिल्याबद्दल. आणि मला माझ्याबद्दल खूप जास्त बोलायला आवडत नाही. पण आता अनघाने सांगितलंय म्हणून लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस माय सेल्फ. सो मी स्वप्नाली केळकर, अनघा म्हणाली तशी आत्ताचा बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर मंदार केळकर त्याची मिसेस. मी इंडियात लॉयर होते. आणि म्हणजे मला वाटतं इट्स बिन इन 2000 आय कम्प्लिटेड माय लॉ इंडियामध्ये. आणि आय यूज टू प्रॅक्टिस इन बॉम्बे हायकोर्ट फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 7 to 8 years. मी मुंबई हायकोर्टला प्रॅक्टिस केलेली आहे. त्याच्यानंतर मी मूव्ह टू पुणे. आणि तिथेही मी माझी प्रॅक्टिस करत होते. आणि पुण्याच्या प्रख्यात लॉ कॉलेजेसमध्ये मी शिकवत होते. आयलेस लॉ कॉलेज मोस्टली बऱ्याच जणांना माहिती असेल, किंवा फर्ग्युसन लॉ कॉलेज हे बऱ्याच जणांना माहिती असेल. सो कायम लिगल फील्डमध्येच होते. आणि त्यानंतर 10 वर्षापूर्वी युएसला मूव्ह झालो आम्ही. आणि युएसला मूव्ह झाल्यानंतरही आय हॅव स्टार्टेड लाईक वर्किंग इन इमिग्रेशन लॉ फर्म सुरुवातीला. आणि मला क्युरिओसिटी होती इमिग्रेशन लॉ बद्दल ह्या कारणासाठी की इथे जेव्हा आपण आत येतो तेव्हा, म्हणजे मागे एकदा मी गमतीने असं म्हटलं होतं की अमेरिकेत जेव्हा आपण लँड होतो तेव्हा आपल्याला श्वासाबरोबर इमिग्रेशनही लागतं. त्याशिवाय ते तुम्हाला आतच येऊन देत नाही. सो इमिग्रेशन बिंग व्हेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक हिअर. आणि मला वाटतं आपल्या सगळ्यांना तो लागतोच. कधी ना कधी इमिग्रेशन लॉशी आपला सगळ्यांचा संबंध येतो ऍज सून ऍज यू लँड इन दिस कंट्री. त्यामुळे मी सुरुवात केली होती. सुरुवातीला पॅरालिगल म्हणून सुरुवात केली, बट आय ऑलवेज हॅव अ ड्रीम की इथे अटर्नी व्हायचं. आणि मग कॅलिफोर्निया हे असं एकमेव स्टेट आहे युएस मध्ये जे फॉरेन अटर्नीजना रेकग्नाइज करतं आणि बार एक्झाम देण्यासाठी त्यांना अलाउ पण करतं. सो बार एक्झाम इज अ टफेस्ट एक्झाम इन युएस. माझी मुलगी कॉलेजच्या वयाची आता होईल 1-2 वर्षात. पण तिच्या वयाच्या बऱ्याचशा मुलांना मी कोणालाही विचारलं तर युजली कोणी मला असं म्हणत नाही की आम्हाला लॉ करायचंय. पण मला इथे नक्की सांगायला आवडेल की लॉ खूप इंटरेस्टिंग सब्जेक्ट आहे. आणि डेफिनेटली जर तुमची कोणाची मुलं कॉलेजला जाण्याच्या वयाची असतील तर प्लीज त्यांना एनकरेज करा. खूप आवश्यक आहेत आपले राईट्स कळणं. आणि आपल्या आजूबाजूला जे काही चाललेलं आहे त्याच्यामध्ये हाऊ टू रेज आवर ओन व्हॉइस आणि हाऊ टू चेंज द सोसायटी किंवा हाऊ टू क्रिएट अन इम्पॅक्ट, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टींसाठी मला वाटतं लॉ माहिती असणं खूप गरजेचं आहे. बऱ्याचदा छोट्या छोट्या आपल्या अगदी नॉर्मल ट्रान्झॅक्शन पासून ते काही महत्वाच्या डील्स पर्यंत सगळीकडे लॉ इनएव्हिटेबल आहे. सो आय विल डेफिनेटली एनकरेज न्यू जनरेशन की त्यांनी लॉला ऍडमिशन घ्यावं. आणि जसं मी म्हटलं तसं की बार एक्झामचं प्रिपरेशन करणं इज वन ऑफ द चॅलेंजिंग टास्क कोणासाठीही, कारण खूप सारे सब्जेक्ट असतात. आणि अगदी थोड्या 2 दिवसाची जवळजवळ ती परीक्षा असते, जवळजवळ 9-9 तासाची परीक्षा असते ती. आणि तुम्हाला प्रचंड म्हणजे आपण म्हणतो की मेंदू लिटरली थकतो ती परीक्षा तुम्ही देता तेव्हा. प्रचंड त्याला अभ्यास करावा लागतो आणि बेसिकली तुमची कॉग्निटिव्ह ॲबिलिटी आणि तुमचं लॉजिकल रिझनिंग, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, हाऊ यू अॅनलाइज इन अ शॉर्ट पिरियड ऑफ टाइम, असे सगळे वेगळे वेगळे स्किल्स. सो डेफिनेटली इट्स टफेस्ट एक्झाम, पण people should go for it. पहिले तर लॉ करा, बार एक्झाम द्या and become an attorney over here. So this is a small introduction about me. And now let's move to today's topic, H1B layoffs and available options.
So, Swapnali, just before you begin, I just wanted to say की informally आपण बोलतोय. I know तुझा आवडता विषय आहे law, पण just to everybody listening in, please do not think about this as, मला disclaimer द्यायचा आहे की हा स्वप्नालीचा आवडता विषय आहे. शी इज अन इमिग्रेशन लॉयर, शिक्षणही झालेलं आहे आणि बार एक्झाम ही पास केलेली आहे. सगळ्यांचे मला वाटतं सिच्युएशन वेगळे असू शकतात. सो this is just general legal talk, and Marathi Vishwa is just giving a disclaimer that, if you have any particular question, you should reach out to your dedicated immigration lawyer, or Swapnali can also talk to you offhand, offline also if you want to. पण तेवढाच एक डिस्क्लेमर, आणि तुला डिस्क्लेमर माहिती आहे चांगला. सो
ऑफकोर्स, म्हणजे आता टॉपिक इंट्रोड्यूस केल्यानंतर आय वॉज अबाउट टू कम टू द डिस्क्लेमर की आजचा जो कॉल आहे दिस इज ओनली फॉर इन्फॉर्मेशनल पर्पज. So any opinions, any statements, any advices, any talks, whatever discussion is going to happen here is not going to create any kind of an attorney-client relationship. So this particular talk or this particular session is just for an informational purpose. So definitely everyone just keep it in mind की आपण कुठल्याही प्रकारचं attorney-client relationship यातून क्रिएट करत नाहीये.
स्वप्नाली, सॉरी, मला थोडा झूम वर यायला वेळ लागत होता, प्रॉब्लेम चालू होते.
आणि okay, we'll let her continue.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. सो मला वाटतं वर्ष आपलं मागचं जसं 2022 डिसेंबर पासूनच H1B लेऑफच्या न्यूज आपण ऐकायला सुरुवात झालेलीच होती आणि बऱ्यापैकी म्हणजे जवळजवळ आतापर्यंत जवळजवळ 2-1 लाख लोकांचे जॉब्स गेलेले आहेत, दोज हु वर इन H1B स्टेटस. आणि मला बऱ्याच जणांकडून अशा इन्क्वायरीज येतात की आमचा जॉब गेलाय, आता व्हॉट आर द अवेलेबल ऑप्शन्स. सो आय रिअली थँक मराठी विश्व की त्यांनी आज हे सेशन कंडक्ट केलं आणि डेफिनेटली ही आता ह्या प्रकारच्या टॉपिकच्या डिस्कशनची खरंच आता खूप गरज आहे, कारण बऱ्याच जणांचे सध्या H1B मध्ये जॉब जात आहेत. नाउ बिफोर वी डीपली डाइव्ह इन टू द टॉपिक, एक छोटीशी इन्फॉर्मेशन की H1B एक्झॅक्टली आहे काय. सो H1B इज नथिंग बट अ टेम्पररी वर्क विसा, आणि द मेन कोर ऑफ दिस पर्टिक्युलर विसा इज द एम्प्लॉयर अँड एम्प्लॉई रिलेशनशिप. सो कुठलाही H1B विसा जेव्हा स्पॉन्सर होतो तेव्हा तो स्पॉन्सर करताना but the most important thing is there has to be one employer and there has to be one employee. आणि that work which the and the work that employee is going to perform must fall within the category of occupation. So specialty occupation जेव्हा आपण म्हणतो तेव्हा specialty occupation ची requirement काय आहे. So specialty occupation is nothing but a particular job which requires a person who has a bachelor's degree. So एक असा जॉब जो एखादा माणूस जर बॅचलर्स डिग्री त्याच्याकडे नसेल तर तो करू शकत नाही, अशा प्रकारचा जो जॉब आहे. त्या प्रकारच्या जॉबसाठी बेसिकली जेव्हा एखादा एम्प्लॉयर एखाद्या एम्प्लॉईला स्पॉन्सर करतो तेव्हा द वर्क विसा अंडर विच कॅटेगरी दॅट एम्प्लॉई स्पॉन्सर्ड इज H1B. आणि जेव्हा ले ऑफ होतो, म्हणजे मी जसं म्हटलं की कुठलंही H1B स्टेटस जेव्हा इंटॅक्ट ठेवावं लागतं तेव्हा ही एम्प्लॉयमेंट रिलेशनशिप तुम्हाला मेंटेन करावी लागते. आणि जेव्हा H1B ले ऑफ होतो दॅट मीन्स युअर एम्प्लॉयर इज गोइंग टू टर्मिनेट युअर एम्प्लॉयमेंट. म्हणजे जो गाभा आहे H1B चा तोच मुळात संपतो, की एम्प्लॉयमेंट रिलेशनशिप जी आहे ती संपते. आणि US मध्ये जेव्हा आपण राहतो लिगली तेव्हा इट इज ऑलवेज इम्पॉर्टंट फॉर अस टू मेंटेन अवर इमिग्रेशन स्टेटस. And when you are in H1B status, it is imperative for you to keep intact your employment relationship with your employer. आणि जर काही एम्प्लॉयमेंट रिलेशनशिप टर्मिनेट झाली तर डेफिनेटली दॅट स्ट्रेट अवे इम्पॅक्ट्स युअर H1B स्टेटस. आणि जर तुमचं स्वतःचं इमिग्रेशन स्टेटस मेंटेन नाही करू शकलात तुम्ही तर डेफिनेटली दॅट क्रिएट्स मल्टिपल इश्यूज फॉर यू. आता पहिली सिच्युएशन की एक ले ऑफ झाला की ओके, फॉर एक्झाम्पल समजा मी एखाद्या एम्प्लॉयरकडे H1B स्टेटस वरती काम करते आणि दॅट एम्प्लॉयर सेड लाईक आफ्टर 2 weeks आय एम गोइंग टू टर्मिनेट यू. आता 2 आठवड्यानंतर मला टर्मिनेट करण्यात येणार आहे. हे कळल्यानंतर डेफिनेटली दिस इज अ ब्लो की आता पुढे काय. सो जो पहिला ऑप्शन दिलेला आहे तो आहे असा की H1B एम्प्लॉयरने जरी तुम्हाला टर्मिनेट केलं तरी सुद्धा टर्मिनेट केल्यापासून पुढचे 60 दिवस तुमच्या हातात आहेत टू टेक ऑर टू अवेल फ्यू ऑफ द ऑप्शन्स, राईट. आता जसं मी आता म्हटलं की एखाद्या एम्प्लॉयरने जर का तुम्हाला समजा टर्मिनेट केलेलं असेल तर फर्स्ट ऑप्शन अवेलेबल इज टू चेंज द एम्प्लॉयर. ओके, अँड USCIS हॅज ग्रांटेड यू द 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम जेव्हा मला कॉल्स येतात तेव्हा पहिल्यांदा तो एम्प्लॉई मला जो H1B होल्डर असतो तो मला म्हणतो की ओके मॅडम माझ्याकडे 60 दिवस आहेत, राईट. ओके, आय गॉट लेड ऑफ लास्ट वीक, सो त्या दिवसापासून माझ्याकडे 60 दिवस आहेत. सो आय वॉन्ट टू मेक इट क्लिअर ओव्हर हिअर की त्या दिवसापासून तुमच्याकडे 60 दिवस आहेतच असं गृहीत धरू नका, बिकॉज देर इज अ लिटिल कॅवेट हिअर की 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड अलाउड केलेला आहे, बट दॅट 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड हा तुमच्या I-94 शी पण कोरिलेट केलेला आहे. So when I say your I-94, that means your current validity, the current validity of your H1B status. So समजा माझ्याकडे एखादी H1B अप्रुव्हल नोटीस आहे आणि तिची अप्रुव्हलची जी एंड डेट आहे ती जर का आजपासून पुढच्या 6 महिन्यानंतरची असेल. सो समजा माझं आत्ताचं स्टेटस संपणार आहे ऍज पर माय अप्रुव्हल नोटीस अँड ऍज पर माय I-94 इन June 30th, 2023. आणि जर का माझा आज जॉब केलेला असेल तर देन आय हॅव 60 days. वाय? बिकॉज माय I-94 इज मोर ऑर काय म्हणता येईल माझा I-94 लॉंगर पिरियड साठी व्हॅलिड आहे माझ्या सध्याच्या 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड पेक्षा. पण जर का माझी करंट व्हॅलिडिटी 60 दिवसांपेक्षा कमी असेल, सो फॉर एक्झाम्पल समजा मी मला कोणीतरी ले ऑफ केलंय 1 जानेवारीला, सो 1 जानेवारी पासून जर मी 60 दिवस धरले तर साधारण मार्च 3 पर्यंत किंवा 2 मार्च मध्ये 30 असे करत ते संपून जातील दिवस 60 days. पण जर का माझा करंट व्हॅलिडिटी H1B चीच जर का 30 जानेवारीला संपत असेल तर देन आय एम नॉट एंटायटल्ड फॉर दोज 60 days. सो पहिल्यांदा जर एखाद्या व्यक्तीचा जॉब गेला, द पर्सन हु इज इन H1B स्टेटस, what is the first and foremost thing the person should do? He should go back and see what is the validity of his I-94. What is the current validity date? तुमचं स्वतःचं आत्ताचं जे H1B स्टेटस आहे ते कधी संपणार आहे हे सगळ्यात पहिले बघणं गरजेचं आहे. Because USCIS says that you are allowed to maintain your status for 60 days or till the validity of your I-94, whichever is shorter. त्यामुळे जर का 60 daysच्या ऐवजी तुमचं करंट व्हॅलिडिटी जी आहे, करंट स्टेटसची व्हॅलिडिटी ते जर का 50व्या दिवशीच संपणार असेल, then you are not entitled for 60 days. Then you are entitled only for those 50 days. आणि मग व्हॉट एव्हर ऑप्शन्स, मी आता जे काही पुढचे ऑप्शन्स सांगणार आहे, जे काही ऑप्शन्स तुम्हाला अवेलेबल आहेत, यू हॅव टू अवेल एनी ऑफ दोज ऑप्शन्स विदिन दोज 50 days. आता हा 60 डेजचा पिरियड जो आहे किंवा हा जो काही ग्रेस पिरियड आहे हा काउंट कधीपासून सुरू करायचा ह्याच्यावरती पण एक छोटूसं डिबेट आहे. Unfortunately, USCIS hasn't come up with any concrete, like, black and white rule for it. So, काही वेळा असं होतं की जरी माझं एम्प्लॉयमेंट, फॉर एक्झाम्पल समजा 7 तारखेला I got laid, I was terminated. My termination is effective from 7th of February. पण जे काही मी 1 फेब्रुवारी पासून 7 फेब्रुवारी पर्यंत त्या एम्प्लॉयरकडे जे काही काम केलेलं आहे ते जे पे सायकल असतं त्याचा जो काही मला पगार मिळणार असतो तो प्रॉबेबली त्यांचं जे पे सायकल असतं त्याप्रमाणे 15 फेब्रुवारीला दे रन द पेरोल आणि मला 15 फेब्रुवारीला माझ्या हातात पे. सो बरेच जण असं आम्हाला विचारतात की सो फ्रॉम विच डेट आय शुड काउंट दॅट 60 days grace period, considering that you have a longer validity for your I-94. So you're entitled for 60 days period. But the question is, from which date should I start counting my 60 days? I usually take a conservative approach and I always tell that the day from which you have actually stopped working for that employer. म्हणजे जिथे एम्प्लॉयरने तुम्हाला दिलेला लॅपटॉप काढून घेतला, तुमचे सगळे ऍक्सेसेस काढून घेतले, आणि द डे यू हॅव स्टॉप प्रोव्हाइडिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ सर्व्हिस to your employer, that is the day you should count as your day of termination of employment. So the layoff is what? Layoff is nothing but the cessation of the employment. It's an absolute termination of your employment. You're not going to provide any type of services, irrespective की तुम्हाला severance pay पुढच्या 6 महिन्याचा employer देतोय किंवा तुमचा पे पिरियड अजूनही आहे म्हणून तुम्हाला जी काही पे स्लिप मिळते ती महिन्याभरानंतरच्या डेटची मिळाली. It doesn't matter. The moment you stop providing the services to the employer, count that as day 1, and then you can further count the next 60 days. So, मी जसं म्हटलं तसं की हा ग्रे एरिया डेफिनेटली आहे. Few people say that you can count from your last day of your pay period, but I usually prefer to count it from the day when you actually stopped working for your employer. So this is regarding counting of the grace period. Now the first option, what you can do within this grace period is change your employer. Try to find a new employer as soon as possible who can sponsor a new H-1B visa. Now the benefit of this 60 days grace period is USCIS is considering that you are maintaining your status for this 60 days grace period, even though you're not in an employment. So I would say that's a benefit given by USCIS. की जरी तुम्ही तुमचे एम्प्लॉयमेंट रिलेशनशिप नाही, विच इज द कोर ऑफ एनी H-1B visa, still I would say कि USCIS still considers that you are maintaining the status and therefore you can switch your job. आता इथे आणखीन एक गोष्ट मला मुद्दाम सांगायला आवडेल की आय एम नॉट शुअर किती जणांना हे माहिती आहे, बट तुम्ही एकाच वेळेला 2 H-1B एम्प्लॉयर्स साठी सुद्धा काम करू शकता, विच इज कॉल्ड एज अ कंकरंट एम्प्लॉयमेंट. So for example, समजा someone got laid off and ह्या 60 days period मध्ये he tried to find some new employer, but there is an employer who is going to offer you only a part-time employment. Okay, की तो म्हणाला की माझ्याकडे फुल टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट साठी माझ्याकडे आता तेवढं वर्क नाहीये, आय कॅन ऑफर यू पार्ट टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट. सो यू थॉट की ठीक आहे बाबा काहीच नाही तर पार्ट टाइम लेट स्टार्ट. आय विल सजेस्ट इवन इफ समवन इज ऑफरिंग यू पार्ट टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट, गेट इट. कारण त्या 60 days पिरियड मध्येच तुम्हाला चेंज ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट करता येऊ शकते. 61वा दिवस आला की यू विल स्टार्ट अक्रुइंग अनलॉफुल प्रेझन्स. सो अवॉइड दॅट. नाउ इफ यू गेट सम पार्ट टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट and then you find after 60 days period, if you find some full time employment, then what? कारण हे जे आता तुमचं कदाचित फायलिंग केलेलं असेल पार्ट टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंटचं, ते अजून अप्रूव्ह व्हायचंय आणि त्याच ह्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला आणखीन एक नवीन एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिळाली जी फुल टाइम आहे. नाव द क्वेश्चन इज, while this is pending, can I go and start with that employer? Can I try to avail that new employment which is full time employment when I am already employed with this employer? Yes, you can do that, provided if your current employer, I mean, whatever is the terms and conditions of your employment with your present employer, right? So that part will come under employment law. But if your current employer is ready, then definitely you can go ahead with the other employer who is offering you a full-time employment. So you can do one part-time employment and the other full-time employment at the same time with 2 different employers. Another question, can you do 2 full-time employments with 2 different employers? The answer to that question is yes, you can do that as well. Provided प्रत्येक H-1B status maintain करण्यासाठी you have to complete whatever hours are mentioned on your LC. Usually full-time employment 40 hours to 35 hours धरली जाते. त्यामुळे if you are able to comply with those many hours, definitely you can maintain the status. So हा एक महत्वाचा मुद्दा कन्सिडर करण्यासारखा आहे. जेव्हा ले ऑफ होतात तेव्हा जर तुम्हाला पार्ट टाइम जॉब मिळत असतील, डेफिनेटली गो फॉर इट. असं काही नाहीये की H1B हा फक्त फुल टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट आहे. इट इज नथिंग लाईक दॅट. H1B तुम्ही पार्ट टाइम पण करू शकता आणि यू कॅन गो अहेड विथ लाईक 2 employments even at the same time, provided check your employment agreement as well, because that doesn't fall within the purview of immigration law, but that falls under your employment agreement, contract law, and your employment agreement, whatever you have with your employer. So make sure ki whatever job you are able to get it, पहिल्यांदा सुरुवात करण्यासाठी just go for it. आता within this 60 days grace period, it is important that you should file your change of employer petition within that 60 days grace period. Even though the approval of that petition is delayed beyond 60 days, that's fine. That's fine. What is imperative किंवा महत्व कशाला आहे? महत्व ह्याला आहे की त्या 60 दिवसाच्या विंडो मध्ये तुम्हाला तुमची पेटिशन फाईल करता आली पाहिजे. त्या 60 दिवसाच्या विंडो मध्ये जर तुम्ही ती पेटिशन फाईल केली, then you are good. जरी ती पेटिशन तुमची अप्रूव्ह 60 दिवसाच्या नंतर झाली तरी सुद्धा यू आर मेंटेनिंग युअर स्टेटस अँड यू आर इन व्हॅलिड H1B स्टेटस. नाउ अनफॉर्च्युनेटली जी पेटिशन ट्रान्सफर पेटिशन तुम्ही फाईल केली आहे, आफ्टर 60 days इफ दॅट पेटिशन इज डिनाइड, then you will start accruing unlawful presence in US from the day your petition is denied, not from the day you have filed the petition. So immigration law मध्ये किंवा इमिग्रेशन नॅशनॅलिटी ऍक्ट एक ब्युटिफुल आय वुड से ही प्रोव्हिजन आहे की जेव्हा एखादं ऍप्लिकेशन किंवा पेटिशन USCIS कडे तुमचं पेंडिंग असतं आणि इवन दो यू आर नॉट इन स्टेटस, राईट? सो फॉर एक्झाम्पल ही ट्रान्सफर पेटिशन जी फाईल केली दॅट इज पेंडिंग फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 6 months फॉर एक्झाम्पल. पहिले 60 days तर granted, like you can maintain that status as per the provision. त्याच्या पुढचे जे काही 120 दिवस आहेत, just because you have filed something with USCIS and USCIS is taking time to adjudicate it, even though you are not maintaining any kind of a status for those 120 days, still you are not accruing any unlawful presence. And when you are in US, always try not to accrue any type of unlawful presence which will last for more than 180 days. कारण जर का 180 days and above तो गेला, तर then there is a bar for you to be back in US. मग तो 3 वर्षाचा असतो, 1 वर्षापेक्षा जास्त जर का unlawful presence झाला तर 1 वर्षाचा बार असतो. So make sure that you know what are the timelines. तुमचे 60 days कधी संपणार आणि तुम्ही कधी फाईल केलेला आहे, whether you have filed it before 60 days का whether you have filed after 60 days makes a lot of difference. कारण if you are filing something after 60 days, then you are filing something within unlawful presence and try to avoid that. Now, the another option available within the 60 days period, for example, you are trying to find a new job and you are not able to get it. I understand that with current situations, it's very difficult to find a new job. Then what? The other option available is you can change your status. You can change from one non-immigrant status to other non-immigrant status. आता जेव्हा मी म्हणते की चेंज ऑफ स्टेटस तुम्हाला करता येतं, तेव्हा देर आर मल्टिपल डिफरंट स्टेटस टू विच यू कॅन स्विच. सो आयदर यू कॅन गो टू B1 or B2 or maybe F1, L1, but L1 has some different requirements to be complied with. But if you fit within that category, I'm not going to explain that, but if you fit within that category, maybe you can switch your status from H1 to L1. Kiva TN, if you're a Canadian citizen, you can become a TN visa holder, or if you're an Australian citizen, you can become E3 visa holder. The problem with change of status is not each and every status has a work authorization. कारण जेव्हा H1B status मध्ये आपण असतो, we have a work authorization, so we can work. So if you change from H1 to B1, unfortunately, you cannot work. If you change from H1 to B2, you cannot work. If you change from H1 to F1, it depends. It depends. If you have like Devon CPT, probably you will be able to work, but otherwise, unless and until you complete your coursework, you are entitled to get the OPT, you cannot work. You cannot work. If you are able to move from H1 to L1, well and good, because L1 is a dual intent and work visa. So you can definitely go for it. But just to maintain your status and just to be in US and trying to buy some more time to find a new employment, you can definitely switch to any of these statuses which I have mentioned. आता आणखीन एक कॉमन प्रश्न बऱ्याचदा लोक मला विचारतात की ओके विदिन द 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड वी मूव्ड फ्रॉम H1 to B2 फॉर एक्झाम्पल, आणि 62व्या दिवशी आय फाइंड अ जॉब, ओके, आणि दॅट इज द एम्प्लॉयर हु इज रेडी टू स्पॉन्सर माय H1B. Am I cap exempt? Yes, you are cap exempt. You can file using that employer. The problem over here is जसं युज्युअल ट्रान्सफर्स मध्ये म्हणजे जसं H1 वन एम्प्लॉयर टू अनदर H1 एम्प्लॉयरला तुम्हाला जस्ट पेटिशन फाईल केल्यानंतर यू कॅन स्टार्ट वर्किंग. हिअर यू कॅन नॉट डू दॅट, कारण युअर B2 ऍप्लिकेशन, द चेंज ऑफ स्टेटस B2 ऍप्लिकेशन जे आहेत ते इन बिटवीन आहे. So you can start working for that employer only after your first application will get approved, because this is now the another H1B application, another H1B petition is called as a bridge petition, because that is depending upon your in between application, which is a change of status application for B2. So जोपर्यंत ते B2 approve होत नाही तोपर्यंत again unfortunately you are in limbo. So in that case probably what you can do, the best option for you is get that particular petition filed through consular processing. Maybe you can go out of the US, get your visa stamp, and then you can come back. So हा आणखीन एक ऑप्शन अवेलेबल आहे. जर का अशी सिच्युएशन आली तर you can definitely file for consular processing H1B, just get out of US, get your visa stamp done. Fortunately आता visa stamping च्या डेट्स बऱ्यापैकी अवेलेबल होत आहेत. कोविड मध्ये खूपच वाईट परिस्थिती होती, बट नाव इट्स गेटिंग मच बेटर. सो probably you can do that. That will be another option available. One more thing regarding kids. So समजा एक H1B holder आहे with his family, with the minor kids, right? Those who are going to school. आणि अशा माणसाचा जर का ले ऑफ झालेला असेल तर as I said, for another 60 days grace period, he will be maintaining his status. At the same time, the dependents will also be maintaining their status. So असं नाहीये की H1B ले ऑफ झाल्यानंतर H1 चं स्टेटस गेलं आणि लगेच डिपेंडंट्सचं स्टेटस गेलं. नो, फॉर दॅट 60 days grace period, definitely all of them, the principal H1B holder along with the dependents, all of them can continue maintaining their status. But after that 60 days grace period, जसं मी आता म्हटलं की if he couldn't find any job and if he decided to switch from H1B to B2, then unfortunately B2, being a temporary visitor's visa, doesn't allow you to get enrolled in any school. त्यामुळे जेव्हा हे चेंज ऑफ स्टेटसचं ऍप्लिकेशन होईल तेव्हा डेफिनेटली किड्सना हा इश्यू येऊ शकतो की जरी त्या स्टेटस ऍप्लिकेशन पेंडिंग असलं तरी आफ्टर 60 days the kids, the H1B principal holder and his spouse, they all will be only in period of authorized stay, and they are not in any valid immigration status as such. So इथे मला एक गोष्ट डेफिनेटली सांगायला आवडेल की बऱ्याचदा लोकांना हे कन्फ्युजन होतं की what is the difference between authorized period of stay and maintaining a status, right? So when you are maintaining the status, definitely you are in authorized period of stay, but you can be in authorized period of stay even though you're not maintaining your status. And the best example is what I have just given. Ki when you are in H1B status, तुमची for example current तुमचं एक H1B approved आहे आणि ते approved आहे जून 2023 पर्यंत, you are absolutely in valid authorized period of stay. पण जर का तुमचं H1B lay off झालेला आहे, you can continue for another 60 days from the date you got laid off. That 60 days period, you are maintaining your H1B status. On the 61st day, if you haven't availed of any of the options, either changing of status or trying to apply for a new employer, then in that case, you will be accruing an unlawful presence. But if you have applied for the change of status, or if you have applied for a new petition, then even though you're not maintaining any status as such, you're still within an authorized valid period of stay. So तो तुमचं petition approve होईपर्यंतचा जो काही काळ USCIS घेईल, just to adjudicate your petition, you are in authorized period of stay. You do not accrue any unlawful presence. So समजा मी माझं B2 application केलंय आणि USCIS takes 1 year to approve that. Am I accruing any unlawful presence? No, I am not. I am not. Do I have any valid immigration status? No, I don't. Do I am in authorized period of stay? The answer to this question is yes. So हे बऱ्याचदा कन्फ्युजन लोकांना होतं की लोकांना असं वाटतं की आय एम नॉट इन एनी स्टेटस, सो मग मी अनलॉफुल प्रेझेन्स मध्ये आहे का, मग 6 महिन्यांपेक्षा जास्ती झालं तर मग मला 3 वर्षाचा बार लागेल का, 1 वर्षापेक्षा जास्त झालं तर मला 10 वर्षांचा बार लागेल का. सो मेक शुअर टू अंडरस्टँड वेदर यू आर इन अनलॉफुल प्रेझेन्स और वेदर यू आर इन ऑथोराइज्ड पिरियड ऑफ स्टे. सो या दोन्ही कन्सेप्ट मध्ये बऱ्यापैकी फरक आहे. आणि if any application is pending with USCIS, whatever time USCIS is going to take to adjudicate that application, that is never considered that you are in unlawful presence, even though you're not maintaining any status at that period of time. Now, आणखीन एक मिसकन्सेप्शन सध्या मी खूप जणांकडून ऐकलंय की मला बऱ्याच जणांनी असं म्हणजे मला कन्सल्ट करायला जेव्हा फोन करतात आणि जेव्हा मी सांगते की ओके यू हॅव ओनली 60 days ग्रेस पिरियड, और यू हॅव टू चेक युअर I-94, वॉट एव्हर इज शॉर्टर अँड ऑल दॅट, देन मलाच क्लायंट सांगतात की नो मॅडम, तुम्हाला माहिती नाही का की USCIS हॅज ग्रांटेड 1 year पिरियड फॉर H-1B होल्डर्स, की आम्ही 1 वर्षापर्यंत थांबू शकतो इथे. सो आय रिअली वॉन्ट टू मेक दिस पॉइंट क्लिअर की अशी कुठलीही 1 वर्षाची प्रोव्हिजन USCIS ने H-1B होल्डर्ससाठी केलेली नाही. People are getting confused with the EAD, which is a compelling EAD granted under compelling circumstances if you have an I-140 approved. So I really want to make it clear to all of those who are listening here कि I-140 जर का तुमचा approved असेल तर there is an exceptional provision which USCIS has created and which is called as a compelling circumstances. So if you have your I-140 approved and if your priority date is not current, then in that case, such person can apply for an EAD. EAD is nothing but a work authorization. So such person can apply for an EAD only if he falls within the ambit of the compelling circumstances. Unfortunately, USCIS hasn't defined what is exactly to be considered as compelling circumstances. They have given us some instances. Maybe like, you have some medical condition or seriously ill, किंवा तुमचे dependent seriously ill आहेत, किंवा employer has taken some retaliation against you, काही अशी retaliatory action employer ने तुमच्या against घेतलेली आहे, किंवा I would say एक्स्ट्रीम हार्डशिप तुमच्या वाट्याला काही आलेली आहे, किंवा देर इज अ सिव्हिअर डिसरप्शन फॉर युअर एम्प्लॉयर. सो अशा काही इन्स्टन्सेस त्याच्यामध्ये डिफाईन केलेले आहेत. बट जस्ट बिकॉज यू गॉट लेड ऑफ, यू आर नॉट स्ट्रेट अवे एंटायटल्ड टू अप्लाय फॉर EAD जस्ट बिकॉज यू हॅव द I-140. आणि हे जे EAD मिळतं हे EAD 1 वर्षाचं असतं. So this is a misnomer, this is a misconception. I don't know हे कुठून लोकांमध्ये पसरलंय, पण this is a misconception की लोक म्हणतात no, we are entitled for 1 year. It is not like that. ह्या compelling circumstances मध्ये जर तुम्हाला अप्लाय करायचं असेल तर first and foremost thing you need to have your I-140 petition, which is an immigrant visa petition, that has to be approved. ती पहिल्यांदा अप्रूव्ह असावी लागते. And second thing, तुमची जी प्रायोरिटी डेट आहे that should not be current. And then you have to check whether you fall within the compelling circumstances. Now, the disadvantage of applying under this provision is once you apply for an EAD, and if that EAD is granted to you under the compelling circumstances for 1 year, you are losing your non-immigrant status. You're not maintaining any non-immigrant status for that particular period of time. So, ह्या EAD, for example, you applied for the EAD is granted to you for 1 year. But during this period, if you have a new job from some employer who is ready to sponsor your H-1B petition, then in that case, to be back in the H-1B status, you will have to file the petition through consular processing, because you're not maintaining any non-immigrant status as such. So such petition needs to be filed as consular processing, and then you will have to get out of the country, get the visa stamped, and then only you can enter. So you are not maintaining any non-immigrant status as such if you are going to apply under this particular EAD. So जसं मी म्हटलं तसं की the requirements are, you have to have the I-140 approved, the I-140 must not have been revoked. I-140 usually जर 6 महिन्याच्या आत रिवोक केलेली नसेल तर it stays as is forever, unless and until it is revoked for some fraud or some other things. But otherwise, once the I-140 is approved and stays there and has not been revoked within 180 days, it stays as is, and definitely the person can port the priority date. So this is another option available. But just because I got laid off, I cannot straight away go ahead and apply under I-140. Just because my I-140 is approved, I cannot apply under compelling circumstances. So just जर तुमच्या कुठल्या फ्रेंड्स मध्ये असं काही मिसकन्सेप्शन असेल की नो H-1B ले ऑफ झाल्यानंतर माझ्याकडे 1 वर्ष मी राहू शकतो, so it is not like that. There are certain terms and conditions the person needs to meet. Now let's talk about the I-485 pending applications. So for example, there is a chance कि your I-485 म्हणजे application for green card. So असं असू शकतं की ज्या माणसाचा जॉब गेलाय, he is in H-1B status, but at the same time his 485 म्हणजे त्याचं ग्रीन कार्ड साठी जे application फाईल केलेलं होतं, that application is still pending and that application is going on. आणि अशा माणसाचा जर का जॉब गेला तर then what? Now, the benefit of being an applicant of an pending adjustment of status application is you're authorized to stay in US till your 485 application is going to get adjudicated. त्यामुळे एकदा तुमचं ग्रीन कार्डचं ऍप्लिकेशन फाईल झालं की जोपर्यंत तुमचं ते ग्रीन कार्डच्या ऍप्लिकेशनचा फायनल रिझल्ट येत नाही तोपर्यंत युअर ऑथोराइज्ड टू स्टे इन US. सो जरी तुमचा H-1B चा जॉब गेला तरी there is no need for you to immediately exit out the country. You can still remain. आता ह्या सिच्युएशन मध्ये if you want to change the job, okay, you can change the job only if your EAD is approved. Okay, आणि अशा वेळेला जर का तुमचं EAD अप्रूव्ह असेल, 485 पेंडिंग असताना जे EAD मिळतं ते EAD जर का अप्रूव्ह असेल तर you can certainly change the job. Again, there is a caveat, and the caveat is provided your 485 application is pending for at least 180 days. So you have to make sure की तुमचं जे ग्रीन कार्डचं ऍप्लिकेशन आहे जे फाईल केलेलं आहे ते 180 days pending आहे, आणि if that is pending for 180 days, then yes, definitely you can port the job, and then you can file your new employer can file the 485J जे bona fide employment job ऑफरचं कन्फर्मेशन करतं किंवा चेंज ऑफ एम्प्लॉयरचं कन्फर्मेशन करतं, ते ऍप्लिकेशन फाईल करते. Now again here you have to be little bit careful when you are trying to change your job. The condition is you can change your job in same or similar occupation for which your original green card is applied for. अगदी सोपं उदाहरण द्यायचं असेल तर समजा मी लॉयर आहे, माझ्या लॉ फर्मनी माझं ग्रीन कार्ड अप्लाय केलेलं आहे लॉयर म्हणून, माझं ग्रीन कार्डचं ऍप्लिकेशन 180 days पेंडिंग आहे आणि द लॉ फर्म किक्ड मी आउट, and there is an accounting firm, because I have also done a CA, there is an accounting firm who are offering me a job. Can I take it? Is that job portability available to me? The answer is no, because my initial green cardचा जो job होता, that was the lawyer's position, and the job to which I am trying to switch is an accountant. So you also have to keep the balance that the new job which you are going to take up, whether that falls under the same or similar occupation category. And if it falls, yes, definitely you can go ahead. Otherwise, that application will get rejected. So you have to keep that check on की आपण जो नवीन job switch करतो तो job पण आपला त्याच ambit मध्ये बसतो की नाही, त्या सेम क्लासिफिकेशन मध्ये बसतो की नाही. You have to check that. So these are, I would say, like, you know, multiple different options available जर H1B layoff झालेला असेल तर. Another thing I would say for the dependents is जसं मी म्हटलं तसं की बऱ्याचदा आणखीन एक प्रश्न मला विचारला जातो की H4 EAD आहे माझ्या बायकोचा, how long she can do. I will say because H1B होल्डरचं स्टेटस ले ऑफ झाल्यानंतर फक्त 60 दिवसांपुरतं मेंटेन होतं किंवा बेस्ड ऑन हिज I-94. Likewise, his wife's status is also, like, you know, maintained only up to those 60 days. आणि जर का H4 EAD असेल तर I would say she is also entitled to work only for the 60 days on her H4 EAD and then she should stop working. कारण त्याच्यानंतर she will not be having any H4 valid status. आता एखादा H1B होल्डर आहे आणि त्याची बायको किंवा एखादी लेडी H1B होल्डर आणि तिचा नवरा, if they both the spouses are holding H1B, then in that case it becomes easy. Try to find out a new job, or you can switch to the dependent visa. Or maybe one spouse is H1B holder, another spouse is L1 holder. You can switch to the dependent status. And for L1s, definitely L2 has a work visa, right? L2 has work authorization. So definitely the spouse can switch to that dependent status.
So, Swapnali, do you want to take some questions? If anybody has any questions?
Let me finish the last part, Anagha, and then we will open the forum for questions. Okay. So this is all related to the employment-based options available. Family-based options sounds little funny, but for example, there is an H1B holder who is dating with a US citizen, and if unfortunately the H1B holder get laid off, right? Then in that case, I would say within the 60 days grace period, you can get married to such US citizen, and then the US citizen spouse can sponsor your green card directly. Or if you have, like, you know, if you are dating with someone who is a green card holder, you can definitely go ahead and you can go ahead and get married within those 60 days period, and then your spouse can file for the I-130 and directly for your green card. So these are, like, you know, the available options. One more option I want to discuss, which is the last option, about the self-petitioning. So बऱ्याचदा आपल्याला असं वाटतं की I-140 petitions file करण्यासाठी आपल्याला employer लागतोच, but there are few categories where you can go ahead and self-petition for yourself. So that is like EB1 extraordinary ability किंवा national interest waiver categories जिथे तुम्ही जाऊ शकता. Unfortunately सध्या EB1 categoryच्या if you are India born, the dates are not current. So unfortunately you cannot file for your adjustment of status. So that's not going to be that helpful to you. But if you have a spouse who is from a different country which falls within the cross chargeability, म्हणजे maybe एक Indian आहे आणि त्याची wife नेपाळी आहे, right? So for Nepali people, the dates are always current. So then in that case, you can still go ahead and file for your adjustment of status application. So these are, like, you know, most of the simple, though look simple, practically might be difficult options to avail. पण हे बरेचसे options available आहेत. आणि unfortunately, if you cannot avail any of these options, leave the country. Leave the country after 60 days. कारण जसं मगाशी म्हटलं तसं की 61व्या दिवसापासून you will start accruing unlawful presence. And then it will start accruing. The more and more you will live here without any status, the more and more you are, you know, prejudicing your own stay आणि तुमचं स्वतःचं status, returning back and all that. You are creating problems for your own. So unfortunately, जर काहीच workout झालं नाही, तर leave the country. Make a note that if you decide to leave the country, your employer has to provide you the return transportation cost. That's a mandate for the H1B employer. So if you decide, okay, I got laid off and okay, I'm going back, ask for the return tickets to your employer. He is bound to give it to you. That's your right. त्यामुळे unfortunately जर परतच जायची वेळ आली तर definitely you can avail this option. Okay, let's open the forum for questions.
So thank you, Swapnali. That was a wealth of information. Lokana, hopefully, they've had some time to digest. We are going to try and take the questions on the chat. So I'll relay them as they come along. I think that will make it easier for people not to speak over each other. So एक पहला question आ रहा है कि what if the H1B holder's dependent child is citizen?
H1B holderचा child citizen असेल तरी सुद्धा unfortunately if the child is minor it's not going to be helpful. कारण जर child minor असेल तर child cannot sponsor for the parents. To sponsor for parents the child needs to be 21 years old. So in that case, just because my kid is US citizen, you're not entitled to stay here. Unfortunately, there is no such provision as such which says that you are entitled to stay here. Unless and until your child is 21 years old, then only the child can sponsor for you. So as I said, you will have to figure out any of these options, whatever I have just discussed, and then you can move ahead with any of the options. So तुम्हाला suitable असेल, you will have to go ahead with that. A minor US citizen kid cannot protect you from not maintaining any kind of status and just living here just to take care of the US citizen. Unfortunately, there is no provision. अशी कुठली provision नाही.
Okay. Next question आहे तो pretty detailed आहे. So I'll try to work through it. Husband and wife दोघेही H1 वर आहेत, पण let's say the husband or whoever, one person was laid off on H1. Now they are planning to go to H4 EAD. You know what? Actually, me read karto. It will be easier that way. I think because I don't want to mischaracterize or misstate anything.
Okay.
I was laid off on H1B and I'm planning to go on H4 EAD as my spouse is on H1B.
Mm-hmm.
My questions are, if I do not secure an H1B employer transfer by the grace period date and later get an employer to sponsor H1B, in that case, do I need to leave the country and get a new stamp on passport before I start working?
Definitely, I would say yes. Leave the country ची गरज नाहीये. So let me explain this scenario. So you are saying that your spouse is in H1B status and you got laid off. Now you are planning to be on H4. You are trying to apply for H4 EAD, and within this process, if you got a new employer who is going to sponsor for you, right? आता ह्या circumstances मध्ये जसं मी मगाशी सांगितलं होतं तसं की एका स्टेटस मधून दुसऱ्या स्टेटस मध्ये जाण्याचं ऍप्लिकेशन केलेलं आहे. So you are applying for H1B to H4 change of status, along with you're applying also for the H4 EAD. Now, when this particular application is pending, if you got a new employment, then that new employment can be filed in two ways. Either that can be filed as a change of status again, because you are not currently holding any status, but there is a bridge petition in between, which is still pending from H1B to H4. So now your second petition will be from H4 to H1B, because you are not having any status as such, though you are a cap exempt. So either this new petition can be filed as change of status, or if you are okay to go outside US and come back, then the easiest way to get away with this is file it for consular processing, get it approved within 15 days by filing under premium processing, and then you can apply for the visa. You can come back, but after coming back, make sure that you withdraw your in-between application, the application which was filed from change of status from H1B to H4. ह्याचं कारण सांगते, कारण USCIS मध्ये एक अनप्रेसिडेंटेड म्हणा किंवा असा अलिखित एक लास्ट ऍक्शन रूल आहे. आणि लास्ट ऍक्शन रूलचा अर्थ असा असतो की जे स्टेटस इफेक्टिव्ह आहे, म्हणजे ज्या अप्रुव्हल डेटची जी स्टार्ट डेट असते, प्रत्येक जी H1B येते किंवा H4 येतो किंवा जी कुठली अप्रुव्हल नोटीस येते आपल्याकडे, त्याला एक स्टार्ट डेट असते जेव्हा नॉन इमिग्रंट अप्रुव्हल नोटीस येते. सो इट गिव्स यू अ व्हॅलिडिटी पिरियड दॅट युअर दिस पर्टिक्युलर स्टेटस इज व्हॅलिड फ्रॉम दिस डेट टू दॅट डेट. सो जेव्हा लास्ट ऍक्शन रूल बघावा लागतो, की जसं मी आता म्हटलं की फॉर एक्झाम्पल तुमचं H1B to H4 ऍप्लिकेशन पण पेंडिंग आहे, अँड देन अगेन अनदर ब्रिज ऍप्लिकेशन H4 to H1B पण आहे. ओके, नाव युअर H1B गॉट अप्रूव्ड अँड देन your H1 to H4 got approved. This is quite possible. Why? Because H1B petition can be approved within 15 days because premium processing is available. Likewise, premium processing is not available to the H4 change of status application. त्यामुळे पॉसिबिलिटी आहे की तुमचं H1B जे आहे ऍप्लिकेशन, जी पेटिशन तुम्ही केलेली आहे ती अप्रूव्ह होऊन येईल, तिची अप्रुव्हल डेट येईल एक, आणि जी तुमचं H4 आहे त्याची अप्रुव्हल डेट असेल दॅट माइट बी इफेक्टिव्ह फ्रॉम अ लेटर डेट. So as per last action rule, even though you got your H1B approval, you will again fall back to H4. कारण H4 ची last action date मध्ये approval ची date पुन्हा वेगळी असेल. So whatever the start date of that approval, that will be considered as a last action, and you will fall back on H4. So if you want to avoid this, definitely as soon as you get your H1B approval, right, you have to withdraw that. Now, if you are filing that for a change of status, the H1B petition, the change of status साठी तुम्ही file केलं, तर it's very hard for you to get it approved within 15 days because that is based on the change of status application from H1B to H4. So unless and until this is going to get approved, you will not get approved. But if you are going to get it through consular processing, then definitely you can get the approval within 15 days. You can get out of the country, you can get your visa stamp, and then you can come back.
Nice. मला वाटतं तू पहिल्या क्वेश्चन मध्ये त्याचे पुढचे क्वेश्चन्स पण बहुतेक आन्सर केलेत. I'll just state it here for people who might not be, at the computer or whatever, म्हणजे just ऐकत असतील तर. How much time ideally nowadays is the H4 EAD card taking to arrive? त्याच्यातच while my EAD card will be in process, if I get an employer to sponsor H1B, can they file for me in parallel and later cancel the H4 EAD processing? Or do I need to wait to first get my H4 approved and then apply for new H1B?
Yeah, I think I already covered this. I will just answer the middle part, ki H4 EAD processing time kiti lagtoy. So Sadhya, I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but USCIS has come up with bundling up the I-129 and the H4 and H4 EAD applications. So जर का तुम्ही तुमच्या H1B प्रिन्सिपल होल्डरचं काही एखादं पेटिशन आहे त्याच्याबरोबर तुमचं H4 आणि H4 EAD फाईल केलेलं असेल, आणि if you are filing it under premium processing, then definitely you should be able to get it within 15 days, your H4 and H4 EAD. पण जर का तुम्ही individually separate केलेलं असेल, if you are not bundling up with the I-129, then unfortunately it may take from 6 months to 9 months. And no one can म्हणजे कोणी छाती टोकपणे सांगू शकणार नाही की 4 महिन्यात येईल, 5 महिन्यात येईल. There is a window.
So त्याच्यामध्येच एक क्लॅरिफिकेशन पाहिजे होता की if I complete my grace period and new H1B employer files for me after the grace period, is it valid even though I have started my unauthorized period? Or I think they're like different term, right?
Yeah, it is called as a nunc-pro-tunc. So it depends. Nunc-pro-tunc is not a right, it's a benefit. And जेव्हा benefit USCIS देतं तेव्हा it's discretionary. So either USCIS officer, if USCIS officer feels like, okay, this is a bona fide non-immigrant, has never violated any of the terms and conditions of his employment, there is a possibility that the officer might approve. म्हणजे अगदी 60 दिवस संपले आणि समजा 62व्या दिवशी you found the employer and you are just trying it. Okay, there is a chance that you have to file the H1B as a nunc-pro-tunc. And there is a chance, I will not say that there is 100% guarantee that USCIS officer will approve it. Okay, so in that case, either USCIS will approve it through consular processing and will not give you the I-94. So you will have to exit out the country and then you will have to re-enter.
Right.
So हे होऊ शकतं या सिच्युएशन मध्ये. पण yes, you may try, but definitely I will advise not to go and not to do such things. Try to do whatever you want to within 60 days window. Yeah.
Next question. Thank you. This was very comprehensive, and I would definitely suggest ki ashe conditions astil that you should approach an attorney and get it done. Next question is, if the H-1B holder goes back to India, then do they have to go through the same lottery process again?
Now, I will elaborate on this question a bit. It depends on after how many years of stay you are going back. Okay. So if you have already exhausted all of the 6 years, because every H-1B, you can stay here only for maximum 6 years of period, right? If you don't have the I-140 approval or anything like that. So जर तुमचे 6 years तुम्ही already avail केलेले असतील and then you are going out of the US, then definitely you are subjected to cap. आणि मग परत तुम्हाला lottery process करावी लागते. But if you haven't availed all of the 6 years, समजा तुम्ही 3 वर्ष इथे राहिलात आणि now you are going back and after you are coming back, आणि जर त्याच्यामध्ये 1 वर्षाची समजा गॅप आहे, ह्याच्यामध्ये पण प्रकार आहे, तर समजा 1 वर्षामध्ये जर गॅप गेलेली असेल, you can again apply for the lottery. आणि समजा तुम्ही परत गेलात आणि 3-4 महिन्यात एखादी ऑफर आली आणि you are coming back, then you are not subjected to lottery. It depends. It depends on you. If you want to utilize the remaining period of your H-1B, you can do that. Or if you want to apply for a fresh 6 years, you can do that. But for that, the condition is you have to be outside US for 1 year. That's the condition.
And the 1 year starts when you depart the country?
Yes. Okay. When you depart the country.
तुमचा I-94 जेव्हा ते रेकॉर्ड करतात की तुम्ही
Yes. So usually I-94, once you enter the country, I-94 is generated.
Right.
USCIS किंवा US doesn't care when you are leaving the country.
Yeah.
Frankly speaking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Next question आहे की if I am changing status from H1 to B1 or B2, B1, B2 after 60 days and the decision is pending with USCIS, can the kids continue schooling?
You are saying that you are changing your status from H1 to B1 to B2 after 60 days, right? So you are not filing that change of status application within the 60 days period when you are actually maintaining the status. So unfortunately, you are filing when you are accruing, when you have already started accruing unlawful presence, which is not suggestible, first of all. So unfortunately, you are not only out of status, but you are also not in a authorized period of stay because you have started accruing unlawful presence, right? And जसं मी मगाशी म्हटलं तसं the purpose of the B1 and B2 visa is for temporary pleasure किंवा it's a visitor's visa which doesn't allow any type of education. आणि इथे once the application is pending, once you file for the change of status application, you are not getting that status as such. So हा एक आणखीन एक misconception असतं लोकांमध्ये की no, I have filed for the change of status. Doesn't mean that status is granted to you or allotted to you. You're not in that status. You're just within a period of authorized stay. So therefore, since you don't have any status, your kids don't have any status as such, unless and until the school notices, it's a little bit difficult. One more thing I would like to tell here is, I think kids under 14 years of age, even though not maintaining any status, they do not accrue any unlawful presence. जरी त्यांच्यासाठी काहीही फाईल केलेलं नसलं तरी सुद्धा if those kids are under 14, then they do not accrue any unlawful presence. But whether they will be able to attend the school, I think it will depend whether that school is allowing them, because I don't think there is any clear-cut guidance from the USCIS during the pendency what should be done. But once you acquire your B2, definitely they cannot. But during the pendency, I think there is no clear-cut guidance. Maybe it will depend upon the state law. जिथे state law मध्ये लिहिलेलं असेल की which kids can come and join the school, public school. So it will depend upon the state law, but under the federal law, I don't think immigration law doesn't clearly specify as such whether those kids should be able to go and attend the school. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I think याच्यावरचे questions संपलेत chat वरचे. तर आणखीन कोणाला questions असतील तर you can ask it directly, or तुझा email address, is there a place where people can reach out to you की
Sure.
questions असतील तर personal questions असतील which they do not want to place here.
Right. Okay, my email ID is my first name dot last name swapnali.kelkar@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on my
Sure.
email.
Okay, मी तो टाइप करतो, सगळ्यांना इथे मिळेलच.
Okay.
I think somebody else wants to talk. Makarand, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
नमस्कार मॅडम. तुम्ही एक सांगितलं ना शेवटी, त्याच्यामध्ये एक फेवर मध्ये आहे चिल्ड्रनच्या. Even undocumented children, the school district cannot stop. Public schools are not supposed to stop children under 16 or even ask immigration status.
Right.
So how does that correlate with the H1B or whatever H4?
Mostly the school should be able to allow it. But if the kids are holding a B2 status, that's what I said. B2 is a visitor's visa. There is a clear-cut provision in immigration law which says that, the B2 visa holders should not be enrolling themselves in any school, because the purpose of the visa is different. B2 varti jeva tumhe yeta. But during the process of getting into B2, probably the kids should be able to. But if once they acquire the B2 status, if there are some kids who are visiting the US in B2 status, they cannot just for 2 months join the public school. That's not what the immigration law says.
Okay, I understand that part. But the other thing is they need F1 then, right? They need F1 for their own.
Yes. Because F1 is granted as a student visa for all the foreign students, right?
Yeah, because you didn't mention that all these H1Bs who get laid out can switch to F1, J1 or M1.
No, I mentioned that, you can.
You did. Maybe I
switch.
started late. Sorry.
Yeah, you can switch to B1 to B2 or F1 or L1, whatever is suitable to you, right? I think I mentioned about the F1 and then the day one CPT. See, most probably the H1B visa holder tries to secure the work authorization, because all these are not going to give you immediate work authorization, right? So the main focus of the H1B holder is first to try to get into any of such thing where he can get the work authorization so that he can start working. Because even if you're going to switch to F1, you have to pay the fees and all that, right? And how you're going to economically maintain the family, right? So that's
but F1 वरती पण OPT घेऊ शकतात ते because they can go under that extraordinary circumstances, compelling circumstances.
Yeah. F1 वरती OPT मिळू शकतं त्यांना, but again, it takes some time. You cannot get day one OPT. It will take some time. Again, program सुरू व्हावा लागतो. Now, for example, इथे semester system आहे, right? The fall semester, spring semester. So मध्येच जर तुम्ही lay off झालेले असाल आणि the school doesn't have a program start date, then also you have to wait. So there are multiple things involved.
Of course. One last thing I want to add, while it is true that the 60-day rule is there, but honestly, it is not something that people should get a heart attack if they go into 62nd day and file it. I have seen USCIS making exceptions. ते एवढं काही स्ट्रिक्ट नाही. तुम्ही अगदी 11.5 महिन्यांनी फाईल केलं तर they will question you. But if you file within, म्हणजे there is no reason to get scared. And that's all.
No reason to get scared, but
sometimes do diligence, but don't worry.
Yeah. That's why I said even if you cross it out, then the option available is you have to file as a nunc pro tunc. Okay.
Correct.
And then you can get it backdated. So that option is there.
Automatically nunc pro tunc, I think they will consider. That's what I have read. I'm not an attorney, but
Yeah. So nunc pro tunc provision is there, but I always suggest try to get it within 60 days, because you
that's
don't
due diligence.
know.
But people have circumstances where it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
आम्ही आता H1B bar नाहीये, पण I am sorry, and I think this is a good point that everybody should know. I had 4 concurrent H1Bs.
Oh, okay.
20 years ago, because of a problem that the employers won't guarantee you anything. So I said, just keep a one in the background and work part-time few places and work full-time one place.
So Makarand, I do want to take a minute to jump in here. This is a great point you raised, right? And Swapnali, माझा question आहे तुला.
Okay.
And this is for benefit of everybody. की तू जे आता सगळं explain केलास, it was great information. This is what you can do after you have lost your job or तुमचं H1B चं सिच्युएशन झाले असेल. Some people might not have reached that level yet. So are there things that they can do today while they have their job, while they have their H1B, to kind of, not prepare, but
as a backup?
Plan. Yeah, as a backup.
As a backup.
Get
म्हणूनच मी concurrent employment वरती मगाशी जेव्हा बोलले तेव्हासाठी बोलले की the backup plan can be only the concurrent employment. Backup plan cannot be change of status, right? Instead of being work authorized, falling back as a dependent. The only backup plan can be like, is having a concurrent employment. But the thing is like, once you have that concurrent employment, you have to maintain that concurrent employment as well.
Correct.
Because otherwise, म्हणजे असं नाहीये की मी employment ची petition file करून ठेवले आणि I haven't joined it, right? That you cannot do. मग असं काय असं मी 10 वेगवेगळ्या employers कडे application करून ठेवीन, 10 घेऊन ठेवीन.
No, it's expensive. You can't do that.
Yeah. But then you have to maintain it, because I think what you are saying is 20 years back, right? The law has changed a lot. The process has changed. Of course,
it has changed, but I look at it as an insurance policy. It has
become more stringent nowadays.
It has become, it was like an insurance policy.
Yeah. So more scrutiny and everything is involved in this nowadays. It's not that easy to get. But as a backup plan, as I said, definitely if someone is full-time employed and if he is getting any part-time employment, definitely he can go ahead with that.
I think the best thing to do is the self-petitioned H1B, like they can start a consultancy firm and take that H1B. It's going to cost them money. It might be cap exempt, not, I don't know, but it will be because it's concurrent. And then they are responsible on their own. There are H1Bs available now for, what is it called? I don't know the exact words, but it's for not the EB2, NIW and all that, but just H1B entrepreneurs.
It's not H1B entrepreneurs. It's EB5 probably you're talking about.
No, H1B entrepreneurs are there, but you have to show the employer-employee relationship. So you need a friend,
what you're talking
to hire you, and they are only your friends.
Yeah, what you're talking about is like, if I'm an H1B holder, if I want to start my own company.
Yes.
And trying to show that employment, right? But this carries a lot of scrutiny nowadays. Because as I started my discussion, like, that the H1B, the core is the H1B employer-employment relationship.
Yes.
So if I'm owning a company, then it becomes very difficult. If I have a stake in the company, it becomes very difficult to show that the employer-employer relationship is there. And I have to show that my work is being supervised independently by someone. So that might be an option available, but it carries a lot of scrutiny, and the success rate nowadays is not that good. So
yeah, that I don't know the recent statistics, but
so I will not recommend. Unless and until you don't have anything else, don't go for it because it will carry a lot of scrutiny. Yeah.
काही वर्षांपूर्वी माझ्या एका मित्राने असं ट्राय केलं होतं, and again I don't know, म्हणजे I'll leave for you to comment, की H1 चालू होता आणि he filed for a Canadian permanent residency. आणि by the time त्याचा job गेला, his Canadian residency happens in a more processed fashion, unlike the US immigration. So it just so happened की त्याचा H1 terminate झाला आणि within a 30-day period or something त्याचं Canadian permanent residency approved zali. So he could move to Canada, wait it out over there, and then come back. So I don't know if that still happens, or have you heard of something
Canadian
like that?
Residency doesn't have, म्हणजे US च्या immigration चा त्याच्याशी काही संबंध नाही. That is an independent process of that particular.
Correct.
So whatever requirements, whatever eligibility criteria are there for that, if you fit in, definitely you can apply for it.
My point was की concurrent तुम्हाला दोन जर H1 घेता येत नसतील, right? आणि you have time. Let's say job आता stable आहे, H1 आहे. So is that could be an avenue for people to have as a backup option.
Yeah, I mean they can. But again, like it depends whether they want to move it altogether to that other country. what are the terms and conditions of that particular visa किंवा त्या permanent residency साठी काय requirements आहेत. I'm not aware of Canadian immigration law, but definitely people can think of moving to some other countries, and people sometimes do move to some other countries. Yeah. So USCIS ला त्याच्याबद्दल काहीच प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
Correct.
Yeah.
तो कॅनेडियन व्हिसा घेतला सपोज तर त्याच्यावर मग TN बनवता येतो का इकडे परत जॉब करायला?
No, Canadian visa वरना TN नाही मिळत. You have
to have permanent residency वरना.
No, you have to be a Canadian citizen.
Okay.
Then only you can apply for TN.
I didn't know that part. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Otherwise,
yeah,
I think it's been a long session.
Yeah, but we've exceeded our time, what we had allotted. But Swapnali, thank you for taking the time to explain everything. खूप सारे scenarios to explain केले, खूप सारे conditions explain केले. I think that was amazing. I think it was very helpful and knowledge for a lot of important knowledge for people in certain delicate situations. So thank you very much. तुझा email address chat वर share केला आहे. Do reach out to Swapnali. तुम्हाला जर पर्सनल काही क्वेश्चन्स असतील तर. And again, on behalf of Marathi Vishwa Katta, thank you Swapnali for coming here. सगळ्या members ना सुद्धा thank you very much की तुम्ही आलात आणि you asked your valuable questions which hopefully help some other people too. So we'll see you next time at our next event. But just before going, Swapnali, amazing. You are impressive beyond belief.
Oh my God.
Your knowledge
Thank you so
and
much.
your communication.
Thank you so much and thanks for the opportunity. परत एकदा मराठी विश्वला खूप खूप धन्यवाद. आणि हा खरंच खूप छान उपक्रम सुरू केलाय मराठी विश्वने. सो माझ्या भरपूर शुभेच्छा मराठी विश्वला या उपक्रमासाठी.
I agree with you, Aniruddha, with everything. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
एक क्वेश्चन आलाय की will we be sharing this? So हे recording जेव्हा generate होईल, we will send an email to everybody and then you can look at the link and go through the information. It's a lot to digest and I would suggest everybody go through it again and attend our next session also. Any other last departing thoughts? Anaga, do you want to say anything? All right. So thank you again, Swapnali. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.